from the radar, but we also have crews out on the ground tonight keeping an eye on the roads.
Conroy Deluche and Catherine Gardner are focusing on Lexington roads as we head into the weekend. Let's check in first with Conroy to begin tonight's big story at 11.
Well, right now we're on I-75 heading south in Lexington. We're right around mile marker 110. That's where we're coming up to one right now. The snow is falling, as you can see, and it's sticking to the roads. In fact, right now, you probably can't even tell which lane is which right now. There are 4 lanes where we are. You can't make out one. We've hit a couple slick spots on neighborhood roads as we were trying to get to the interstate, but there have been no problems for us as we've been on I-75 for the last hour. But when we were on I-75 north heading toward Georgetown, we came across 2 cars that had slid off the highway, one that had since been pulled up by a fire truck, while the other car was still far down a hill. And before we even hit the Georgetown exit a few miles later, we saw another truck that had crashed into a guardrail. And crews are out on the highways, but the snow is falling so quickly out here, it's piling on the roads and it's becoming difficult to keep up with. Some overpasses and entrance ramps, including the one we got on back in Georgetown to get back on I-75, they are slick. So you do need to be careful. We're going to keep an eye out on the roads, and if you do have to be out there, we're going about 40 miles per hour right now, and it doesn't feel slow enough. So thank you very much. That's it for us out here, and we'll go send it back over to Catherine Gardner, who joins us live over on New Circle Road.
Well, good evening, everyone. Yes, I am over here on the north side of town, right beside New Circle Road, and as you can tell, we have big flakes coming on. And there's good snow and there's bad snow, but let me tell you, this snow is not fun. Go ahead and take a look at the ground here. This snow is all flaky and it's starting to accumulate on top of ice, and naturally that just makes for an awful concoction for drivers, for danger and difficulty. The sleet mix started to turn to snow around 8:30 tonight, and now that the snow has arrived, traffic has died down tremendously. Salt trucks are going up and down highways, streets, and roads as we speak, trying to do some damage control by scattering brine. After leaving Walmart tonight, a father and son told me they're thankful they don't have to drive too far to get home tonight.
I think it's a terrible weather. I don't think anybody should be out right now.
Because it's really slippery. But you need to go slow and be careful with the rest of the drivers. Just keep the people inside the house. Make sure don't go out if you don't need it. Don't go out. It's too dangerous to be outside.
Now, let me go ahead and just state again that this snow is awful to be in. It hurts when it hits your face. The wind is awful. And naturally, Rob, if you go ahead and look at the roads, thankfully, we haven't seen any accidents off of the New Circle Road on the north end of town, but that doesn't mean that they won't happen. So remember to drive slowly and to keep plenty of space between the drivers around you, just like Jose suggested. Covering the news in Lexington live from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom. Back to you.
Well, the snow is still falling to our west in Anderson County and building up on some major roads there. Connor McHugh is live out in Anderson County where conditions are deteriorating on the Bluegrass Parkway. Connor.
Well, in the last few hours, it has gotten a lot colder and it has gotten a lot windier here. And one of the things you'll notice when you first get out of your car is the snow has gotten a lot crunchier. That's because of how cold it has gotten. Some of the snow and stuff on the road is starting to build up, just like right here on 127. We noticed it driving all the way here. And then when we look right over here at the Bluegrass Parkway, it is just as bad. And this is pretty much what traffic has looked like all night. Very few cars, really just a few brave souls, some salt trucks, and a few semis here and there. Now, the county says there have been no major wrecks tonight in Anderson County, only a few cars sliding off the road. Drivers say conditions are not terrible, but they are getting worse by the hour. We met one man who left Bowling Green this morning, and this snowstorm has pretty much followed him all day. He says this portion of the drive has not been his favorite.
Seen a little bit of everything. We've seen some ice on the trees, the roads being pretty clear on the first, and then now it's starting to get pretty slick, and it seems like you go a little ways and you might hit a clear spot here or there, and then now, the more we're traveling north, the thicker it seems like the snow's getting and stuff.
Snowplows are continuing to come through this area. In fact, one just passed us just a second ago, and they will continue to come through here all night. For covering the news in Anderson County from the LEX 18 mobile newsroom, back to you.
Officials in Boyle County say they may have avoided any serious weather troubles tonight. The emergency management director tells us the cold rain switched over to snow earlier than they thought, giving them plenty of time to salt the major roads. However, They know travel will get worse before it gets better.
We're going to be dealing mostly with snow tonight. It's going to be very cold, so a lot of this is going to freeze. So up in the night, later on in the night, midnight, up in the morning, it's going to be very slick.
Wilder wants anyone who has to get out on secondary roads to be especially careful overnight.
Jill Sweat has been in the thick of it today in Scott County as the line morphed from rain to sleet and finally snow. Here's a look at what she found.
Like most around the Bluegrass, it was just a cold rain here in Scott County for the better part of the day. However, then we started to see the transition over to snow just in time for the evening commute. And with that, crews were finally able to get out there and pre-treat the roads. We were seeing a tandem of plow trucks coming up north and southbound across I-75, salting and plowing the light snow that continued to fall through the evening hours. And even as we continue into the overnight, as snow starts to wind down, could be seeing some rapid freezing in some of those treated areas. So certainly, especially along interstates, along bridges and overpasses as well. Those could quickly freeze even through the overnight hours as we continue to see the snow starting to come to an end. Covering the news in Scott County from the LEX 18 Mobile Newsroom, back to you.
Franklin County was among the first in our viewing area to see the snow.
Well, like every place else, it rained most of the day, but switched to sleet and snow when the sun went down. Police tell us that roads in some parts of the county are icing up, so if you have to go out, be very careful. One particular trouble spot is Thornhill Bypass, where police say cars just can't make it up the hill. The snow took a bit longer to make it to Madison County tonight, but by the time it did start falling, most drivers were off the roads. It was more of a wet snow that hit the Richmond area, leaving a thin layer. Many people we spoke with were getting errands out of the way before the worst comes overnight. And they tell us they were shocked by today's big temperature swing.
I was just outside in like shorts and a shirt, and it was pretty crazy. And then they said that there was supposed to be this ice storm tonight and it's supposed to carry over into tomorrow. They canceled a bunch of schools and stuff in Fayette, Madison County, and all kinds of places. And I thought that was pretty crazy.
Eastern Kentucky students were also moving back into their dorms today instead of tomorrow, so they wouldn't have to deal with the icy roads.
Well, that's what we've seen from our Storm Tracker team tonight. What's in store for overnight?
Your overnight and weekend Storm Tracker forecasts with our chief meteorologist, Bill